Hey guys, welcome to your reading, Virgo. Virgo, I've tried to do your reading. This is now the third attempt. The first two attempts were good, but I guess Spirit just really wanted me to wait for you to do your reading last. So in those terms, let me go ahead and make sure to tell y'all if you are seeing this on various platforms, like, share, and subscribe, guys. And two, make sure to join me on Patreon, where I have your rites, rituals, spell work, and incantations casted, already done for the month of May into June. On Patreon, I give you guys suggestions. You guys had like 6, by the way. 2 of them were backups. And I know, because I was like, dang, I've never had any of the other signs get this many. Are you serious? But yeah, they were, Mother Isis was serious. So if you want to learn more about unconditional love, how to work through that, how to spell cast through that, how to harness that, even if you just want to go through the lessons and deeper self-discovery, please join me on Patreon for that. If you would like to also join me on Patreon and/or another platform that I will be having the full moon reading in Scorpio posted, please do that, because this is tarot only. We're only looking with tarot. This is oracle. Oh, also you get guided messages from her, by the way, like specifically to you guys. So I forgot about that. But with this is solely tarot, and I ended up doing tarot and astrology because the Scorpio full moon is intense, y'all. But you know that because Scorpio is your 3rd house of communication. So I don't necessarily have to tell you about the intensity. You already know, Virgo. But that being said, we have a lot going on at this time. And if you sign up for that tier, you may also be able to access the full moon and Libra videos too. So you will be able to go into 2 readings back to back, which is kind of nice. Now, Virgo, I am doing something very different. One, this reading is going to go for the whole month of May, because up until the last 2 weeks post retrograde, but we'll still pull cards. I'll still give advice on that. But I will be taking personal sessions. You can book me down in my links above or below, just depends on the platform. And if you would like to tip me for my work, thank you. Tips are greatly appreciated at this time. And if you would like to book me, but I'm not available at the times you are available, I do recorded video sessions. They don't change in the price on one of my platforms. And I'm just letting you guys know, if that's what you would like and you want a reading done by a certain time, just put the time you want that I'm available and mark that as your delivery time. And I will have it delivered by then on a video recorded link sent to your email. So there's that. And also, I am using not just your Fae blessings, I am using the Dragon Oracle. I am using the Dragon Fae Oracle. And I'm doing the Fairy Blessing cards. Oh yeah, Mama's coming in hot tonight with all of our tarot and oracle stuff and blessings, because you know what? We need it with the times that we're in. Oh yeah, we need them. And I'm just being honest, because I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did these for the other 12 signs, because I didn't know why I felt so called to do it. And then everything that's unfolded in the last literally 12 hours, 24 hours of the Mercury retrograde, I'm super grateful I didn't just pull blessings. Because yeah, we're all generally gonna need help with this Mercury retrograde, with Capricorn going retro, with the Pluto going retrograde too, and the full moon in Scorpio. This is one of those times where I'm like, yep, it's a good thing I went overkill on the messages, guys, especially this time. But that being said, I will be available for private sessions till Memorial Day weekend. And then I am going to be off. I have 2 weeks off that I have to take off, because one of my family members is getting married, and now I am in the wedding and I have wedding stuff to do. So I'm just letting you guys know that is why I won't be available to do sessions at that time. What I will do is I still will have the tip and tip link up, and content geared to you guys should be posted by then. I'll at least try to do it by June 3rd, because we'll be post shadow. So I'll be able to have some new content for you guys out by then, ideally, is what I'm hoping. So yeah, there's that too. Give me just a second here, Virgo. Let's see what else is coming through. Show me, please, for Virgo. What is coming through for Virgo for May? All right, we got 2 messages here. Both of these are in reverse. Doesn't surprise me. One of your other readings, it was the same 3. Okay. The second reading, I had to really go in with the Dragon Oracle, and I tried to save it, but I could not. So unfortunately, okay. Okay, Virgo, why is it you always have the most messages? I don't know why, but I'm going to put it this way. You know what? No, let me pull Dragon Fae next. Dragon Fae is going to be way easier to talk about in explanations. And then we'll go in with the dragon messages because you've got all reversals here. Now, all reversals with the Dragon Fae is not bad. I'm sorry, with the Dragon Oracle isn't bad. It just means like you're not ready to work on these aspects yet with the dragons. This one you are, so positive, but with these we have to unlock something before we can do that. Now with the Dragon Fae in particular, when their things are reversed, it means you're not ready to work with that Dragon Fae at all. This is more like the lesson you're not ready for. So give me just a second here. Show me my beautiful Dragon Fae beings. What messages do you have pertaining to the sign of Virgo that can help them in unlocking these abilities with the dragon energy for the month of May? Hang on, I'm only taking uprights. Give me a second here. Okay, no, she didn't come up, but I know. Oh, hold on, Lady Titania. Oh, that one. Okay. So Virgo, it's actually kind of funny because you've got to work on Pellinor and the Lady, Bittersweet Farewell. I'm going to cover it up just so people know that she's okay. She's not naked or anything like that. She's modest, but for modesty's sake, I'm still keeping her covered just so I don't get flagged. But I am pointing this out. This talks about bittersweet endings, and with the full moon in Scorpio, like for you, Virgo, you don't necessarily deal with bittersweet endings. You just are like, I'm done, blah, blah, blah. Like, man, y'all get mad when you're done with something. And the thing is bittersweet is usually how other people feel on the receiving end of what you do. But I think this time around, it's actually happening to you in particular. And this talks about soulmate connections and soul ties. This usually deals with love and romance, but you know, love and romance is great, but sometimes it isn't in our life. And sometimes like when it isn't in our life, we think of our past loves and we miss them and we want those things back. But this is also about like you miss someone and you love them so much, but you're not talking to them, or you have to say goodbye. As Shakespeare said, parting is such sweet sorrow. And this is a card of that. This is a card of either you or your lover or the person you care for, you guys are being separated on the horizon for however long, we don't know. It doesn't feel indefinite, but the length of it might feel indefinitely. And so this isn't a time to necessarily freak out though, because with that Scorpio full moon, it's almost like it's doing its job anyway. It's going forward for you to release something that just maybe isn't working. Maybe it's done. Maybe it's time to let it go. You know, like sometimes we don't want to let people go, but sometimes we have to better ourselves. And that is a really hard lesson to learn, because sometimes when we love, we just love so hard and we don't understand why we have to let something go. But the more we hang on, the more we realize later on when we come out of it that it really wasn't good for us, and we were hanging on only because of, you know, illusion, or it was love, but it wasn't like unconditional. It was conditional, but you thought it was unconditional love. Like you were confusing something there. There's also like where we hold on and we love somebody and something and we don't want to leave them, but our lives get put on hold. That's not fair. Like, this is about parting so you can go become your own person and eventually come back together into union. And so until then, you have to take those memories of that person or that thing with you so you can be happy and live a happy, fulfilled life, you know? But with this card, we also have the golden orange dragon here in reverse, and I have the blue galactic dragon in reverse. This talks about listening to the universe. So this is reverse. You're not listening to the universe, one. And two, this talks about, it brings Orange Dragon talks about bringing soul, families, and communities together, reverse. So both of these are reversed, meaning you feel completely and utterly disconnected from your soul ties, soul family, when it comes to this card. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we are not connected, or if we are not feeling connected, because we're with someone, then that's a problem. Like, that's a really a big problem, because we can't rely on someone to bring us total joy and happiness, but at the same time, we also need to remember that we have to give that to ourselves. And when we keep looking outside of that, we become more and more unfulfilled. Like, having a relationship, no matter if it's love or romance, you've got to have the foundations to fulfill yourself first before you can go out and give to another. And if you don't do that, then the relationships aren't based on equality and principle. They're just based on needs and need-based survival mode, which everybody knows. When you're in survival mode, you make choices to keep yourself going. Sometimes they're not necessarily smart choices, but sometimes they're choices that keep you alive. When you come from that mindset and then you go to like the higher perspective of love and romance, you begin to realize, oh, wow, I chose out of need. I didn't choose because I really wanted to. I chose because I thought I had to, that was the only choice. Yeah, you see what I'm getting with. Now, these other cards are in reverse. The Lover's Feast. So Virgo, this actually talks about food and healthy food. Now, this isn't a medical diagnosis or anything like that, but this talks about, like, because it's a Taurus sun sign, Tauruses, or like whether you have a Taurus moon rising or Taurus placement, wherever that is, it's going to relate to food, because Taurinians are huge about foodies. They're foodies. I know my moon is in Taurus. So I have to watch emotional eating, right? But for other people with Taurus placements, like, if it's like, for example, a fifth house in Taurus, that means when you go out on dates, you connect more with people at dinner time, or when you're having a meal, that's when you feel the most fulfilled with them. As weird as that is, I don't know why I pulled that. But let's say you have a Taurus rising. So you come up as this beautiful Venusian Venus energy, right? You have it like exude out and around you. And then when you go to dinners, you kind of become more sensual. It's so interesting how Taurus like reacts in different placements. But the main theme is that you will still need to evaluate, like, consuming the food that you're eating versus the lifestyle you're seeking. A great example of this is, I'm terrible at this, but used to, when I was really healthy, I would eat paleo, but then on the weekends I would eat Chick-fil-A, I would eat Cane's. I mean, I still worked out, but I would feel like I had a hangover after eating Cane's. You know what I mean? Even though I loved Raising Cane's, like, I just feel like I had a food hangover. And the next day, I didn't have an alcohol hangover. It was a food hangover. And so I would be like, man, I wonder why I felt like that. Well, because I ate clean most of the week, like it's okay to treat yourself, but just know that, like, when you're eating like that, it's a little bit inconsistent, and we need some more consistency here. Also, this card talks about, like, it talks about conscious aware eating. Now, for those of you who are fitness coaches, or weight coach, like not weight coaches, but more like nutrition coaches, like people who help with nutrition, or you're wanting to go that way, this is definitely a good time to do your research on that path, because there are trainers, and then there's a difference between trainers and nutritionists. Now, there are some people who are actually trained that I personally know, they're trained as trainers, and they do the nutritional meal plans. One girl that I follow is Gauge Girl. She's actually pretty cool. Like, she knows her stuff. She goes down to the macros. She goes down to feminine and masculine. She goes down to the meal plans. Like, she is like, it's like a science for her. I've seen it. She's excellent. She's one that I know of. There are a couple male ones on YouTube that I did find, but I think they were more geared towards men. So, but that's my thing, right? Like, food and your relationship to food is also how you build your life and your habits, right? Because food is what keeps us going. It is the energy that sustains us. And as we consume, we digest. We also digest whatever we're eating, we're also taking in that energy from whatever it is we're eating. So for my people who are like, it's kind of funny because like I'm a water sign, so I love fish, but I prefer salmon, but I always end up feeling guilty when I eat too many salmon because I'm like, fish are friends, not food. Like I sometimes feel like that. Sometimes, not all the time, but like if the salmon is really good, I'm like, fish, I'm really sorry, you're delicious. Thank you for the life. You know what I mean? Like I'm grateful for what you've done in terms of you swimming into that net because you're now sustaining me. But that's something to also think on too, because see, in terms of like spirituality and shamanism and all of that, we understand, I also come from shamanic backgrounds, that whatever you eat, you ingest that energy. Even if the animal was like, let's say it had an honorable death versus a non-honorable death, that energy can be in the food too. And so I'm pointing this out so you guys understand that this is kind of important because, and you're like, well, what if the animal didn't die an honorable death? What I would do is I would pray over it if you're not sure, and just be like, okay, dear animal, I appreciate your sacrifice. Like you are going to sustain me. I deeply, deeply appreciate that. I'm sorry if you had a very harsh ending. I ask for your energy to give me the health and vitality that I need, in terms of like what you provide when I digest. Thank you so much. And that's kind of how I would, it's kind of almost like a cleansing prayer, but more or less being grateful and honoring it in a way. So then it takes that cleanse. I mean, I would even suggest to cleanse the negative energy out if it were me, like not touch the uncooked meat, but like maybe hover my hands over it, once I cooked it, because I'm just that person. But I'm sure you could do that as long as your hands are clean. But there's that. Now, the other thing is you have these other dragons in reverse. You've got the water dragon reverse. This is about psychic development. You're not listening to yourself, Virgo. You're not even going to remotely listen about developing psychic ability till you start. There's something about food and psychic ability for you that you're having to like examine. Then you've got the gold and silver violet flame dragon in reverse. This talks about transmuting an old around you and with wisdom and grace. It's time for transmutation, magic, and healing. Offer service under grace. I just talked about that. The eighth house will also do that for you. I suspect this is in reverse because the eighth house is probably going to end up doing that for your third house of communications anyway. So Moon's going to do its job when it's time, 3 weeks from now. And then you've got the golden orange dragon, the expansion of light ascension. Be a peaceful warrior and help those in need. Remember your magnificence. The thing is, Virgo, these cards are all in reverse, which tells me one thing: you're not open. Now, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means right now, I think you're overwhelmed and you're not able to focus on the spiritual aspects of this, which is why these Fae energies are coming through, the Dragon Fae. They're coming through to help you open yourself up to the dragon messages, to the oracle, because otherwise, like, yeah, you can have dragons around you and that's great. And we love working with dragons, but if you're not open to their totem, they can't help you. Like, I'm gonna be honest, they can't. I know, because I've worked with a dragon totem for so long. Like, before I started working with them, they'd always want to pop through, but I was like, oh no, I'm scared, I can't do that. Like I would be like, no, I can't, I shouldn't, no, wait, stop, no, this is a bad idea, I shouldn't have interest. And then I would back away and then my life wouldn't change. And it would stay the same. And I'd be like, why? And then, they would send me messages again, come work with us. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because I asked myself this still to this day, was I afraid of my potential or was I afraid of the potential for change? And when I keep coming back to that answer, when I tell these stories, to you guys, those of you that are on the fence, it wasn't that I was afraid of my potential. It was afraid of the changes that were going to come because I had lived this comfortable kind of life, and the changes that were going to come in with the dragon totem were literally going to be so shifting. I knew they were never going to be the same, but honestly, I'm happier for the changes than I was when they were trying to pop through and I wasn't working for them. But that was because it was my time. you know? If it's not in your time, you're just not ready, and that's okay. Now, the only dragon we do have working for us is the Emerald Dragon. Now, the Emerald Dragon talks about good fortune is coming. Let your thoughts support your divine perfection. Allow your fifth dimensional blueprint. Align with your fifth dimensional blueprint. So for those of you who don't work with other timelines, realms, and dimensions, your blueprint that is 5D is actually your natal astrology chart. If you don't know it, please contact me. I do natal chart readings for a price, but I do them. I'm actually excellent with astrology. I've been doing astrology for like 14 years. I love it. I love it so much. I do past life. I do present. I do natal. I do progression. I do comparison. I do table reads. I do the Palladian reads. I do the asteroids. Like, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy astrology. For me, it gives me the life. Like, it keeps my spice for life going, because there's always some interesting alignment, some interesting place, some interesting time, or some interesting planetary thing going on, right? That keeps me going. And that's the thing, Virgo. You need to find, there's something in your chart that you're going to find after the full moon in Scorpio that's going to give you that passion again that you're looking for in your communications. That's going to give you that lust for life to go on. Because in terms of your communications, in terms of keeping you fired up, because right now Mars in Taurus is a little laxed. He's kind of relaxing, still on guard, but it's like he's a little bit on vacation. You know, he's enjoying himself. He's with Venus. Hello, he loves being with Venus. And Venus really kind of subdues that overt masculinity that Mars can sometimes be when he is a raging machine. So the beauty of it is you've got Mars kind of chilling out a little bit. The downside is when that happens, it makes everything kind of halt for a second, especially in your communication sector. Your communications are off. The psychic ability is off, especially in your third house of Scorpio. But the full moon is going to still give you messages, but you're not open to receive. So it's just like, this isn't a judgment here, Virgo. It's just like, okay, Mars is inactive. You need a break. You need to just go with the flow. And the flow is your astrology chart. I would say if you haven't had an astrology reading, get one. Oh, and don't go to the sites that have only, it'll say universal time. That is collective time. That is not natal chart time. Natal chart is usually like green GT time, Greenwich Medium Time, or something like that. Depends on your time zone. But universal time is nonlinear time, meaning collective. Like what I'm doing here for this reading. This is a collective read for all Virgos that decide to watch this in nonlinear time and fashion. Okay. So I'm just making sure you guys understand, because some of these sites, they make you pay to get a reading, but then they say, oh, get a free chart reading, but it is not accurate. Because a great example of this is, let's say you're a Virgo sun, but on your natal chart, it says you're a Pisces rising, right? But when you go do the free readings on those sites, it says you're a Virgo rising. I'm sorry, you're a Virgo sun with a Sagittarius rising. That means your collective time, your collective rising is dealing with these issues with Sag, but your personal individual chart is Pisces, right? Yeah, that's a big difference. That's a very big difference on all of the houses. It can literally make or break someone's chart. Why is it you're the one that gets the power card now? This is supposed to be for Capricorn, and I kept talking about this and the video kept stopping. So, okay, let's go ahead and talk about this. So you have the blessing of power. Now, Virgo, the blessing of power, if you notice, there's a mermaid here in the background. Which mermaids, some mermaids are considered fae beings. Not all, I wouldn't say not every single one of them is a fae, but there are a few that are considered, or that I would be considered, they are directional fae energy. Now I'm pointing this out because this actually deals with power in terms of conjure, in terms of spell casting, in terms of your ability to tap in and in tune with manifestation. Now, Virgo, you are being asked to let go of manifesting from negative places. That includes hexing, cursing. Don't get me wrong, those are important. But the way this card works with the Seelie court is very different. The Seelie don't use black magic. unless they absolutely have to, like worst case scenario to defend. And even then, that's not even in their realm. That's the unseelies realm right there. So I'm just letting you know, you are being asked to shed this old idea of casting and your abilities to manifest by using dark energy. You are being asked now to embrace the light. And when you do, your castings will be blessed and they're going to come through. And that means in all ways, in all realms, in all timelines and dimensions. Because if you have this coming through, dragon energy goes through any timeline and dimension. Same with the Fae and the Dragon Fae. They can all cross realms. Unicorn energy too. I think, and that, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. This is the unicorn energy card of when it comes to casting. If you've never worked with unicorns as a spirit guide or a totem, I have for a short time when I really needed help with, you know, dealing with toxicity in my environment and people not agreeing to me doing this for a living. And they were quite negative. The unicorns really help to alleviate a lot of pressure. And I would say, try working with the unicorn totem. If you don't feel comfortable doing Steely Fae, try unicorns first. Just because the unicorns, like, they understand intention and they also do give healing, but that will amplify your casting ability. But the Fae here, the blessing here is you have power. And also this is about talking about issues with you. I think this whole month of power versus powerlessness. Where you feel powerless is actually your strongest, and where you feel power is actually when you use dark stuff, depending on how you use it, can be illusionary of power. It may not be real or as real as you think it might be. Not to say that dark energy isn't real. Oh, it's real, but it's talking about like what you put your faith into and how you expect things to change and why frequencies like the Fae are saying, you have the blessing of frequency with sealing magic. Why not use it? Like, why let it go to waste? You have the ultimate magic to tap in using light magic and unconditional love. And like, why not use it to your benefit going that way? And if you try to use it for the dark, you're only going to get hurt. So in terms of like how you manifest, like if you try to use this for malicious intention, your spell work's not going to go through. I can tell you that. But you have that blessing, Virgo. You have it. They're trying to get you to open and expand, but you got to want to be ready, Virgo. I can tell you all these things, but you've got to be the one to be ready. You know, it's up to you. I can't do it for you. You have to want to do it. And I think that's something that right now, Virgo, you're on the cusp of self-discovery with, and I'm not necessarily sure how you feel about it, but I think this is a learning curve for you, big time for this month. But other than that, that's all I have for you. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Again, leave me a tip if you would like to. If you'd like to book a personal session with me, please do so. If you would like, share, and subscribe, that would be great. And if you want to join me on Patreon for my exclusive content for the unconditional love session, spellcasting and abilities with Goddess Isis, please do follow me there. And if you want to follow me for the tarot reading, full moon in Scorpio, please also join me on Patreon and follow me there. Until we speak again, Virgo, I love you guys so much. You know, take your time and have a great retrograde. I will see you in June. Bye-bye.